Good afternoon. Am I audible? Let me just start with it. One second. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Abhishek. I was dealing with career opportunities in entrepreneurship in biotechnology in the last session, and I'll take it forward with many more different fields pertaining to biological sciences. And today we'll discuss on both of these aspects of career opportunities in other than biotechnology related fields, as well entrepreneurship opportunities. Okay, fine. Okay, hope it is fine now. Career opportunities in biotechnology and other related fields like biomedical engineering, pharmaceutical industry, agro biotechnology, and in diverse other basic areas like environmental biotechnology, food, and all of these things are the ones that we are trying to discuss on today. Emerging trends in collaboration with industry and academia for the development of entrepreneurship is one more thing that I will be discussing on today. So, with these things, we would be done with Unit 2. So I'll take you through the slides. We have discussed on what is biotechnology. So it is the use of living systems and organisms to develop or make products or any technological applications that uses biological systems, living organisms, and their derivatives to make or modify products or processes for specific use. Now, depending on these tools and applications only, there are fields like bioengineering, biomedical engineering, biomanufacturing, and molecular engineering. Today, you will, in general, discuss on the basic thing called biotechnology, and you take a degree in the basic uh, field of engineering like computer science or mechanical or electrical or electronics or civil or whatever, in biotechnology also. But what you will be specializing later is on the basis of expertise or on the basis of specialization in biological sciences. So, from the last session, we have been discussing how biological science or life sciences influence an engineer to come out with some or the other related products for the purpose of entrepreneurship. So, going on, or moving on with this, what we have discussed earlier also is this, that you have four different branches like as we discussed: red biotechnology, green biotechnology, white biotechnology, and blue biotechnology. These are the fields that you can specialize and enter in. And today we'll discuss on some of the importance given to medical and agricultural biotech and industrial biotech pertaining to entrepreneurship. The same applies for marine biotechnology also. So these are some of the aspects that we would be covering today. So what does medical biotechnology include is all about healthcare improvement It can be new therapies, new diagnostic aids, new treatment methods, instruments involved in the process. When it is agricultural biotechnology, I'll discuss on how to increase the yield, how to go with better crop protection, can we go with enhancement of nutritional enrichment. That's most of the biotechnologists do. But pertaining to this, all the instrumentation and equipment manufacturing and the protocols for ease of agriculture and ease of farmers' effort is what one can think of in agricultural biotechnology. In industrial biotechnology, take it medical field, take it food industry, take environmental industry, all those produce that comes out of industry is what we will discuss in detail. As I told you, biotechnology is required for improvement of marine aquatic life also. We have discussed some of the aspects that were there, but not much goes into it's similar to that of an industrial biotechnology, looking into many aspects of instrumentation and advancement. Now, moving on to biomedical engineering, might be wondering what bioengineers and biomedical engineers do, especially. So, this is where the engineers design equipment and devices such as artificial internal organs. There may be replacement for body parts or machines for diagnosing medical problems. And this includes install, maintain, and provide technical support to all the biomedical equipment that is there. If doctors are so dependent on the technology today, it's all engineers who can help them. They know the protocols, they know the procedures, but they have to get specialized with the instrumentations. So without medical instruments, again, there is no life in hospital. So that's the need today. Wherever you come across, look into agricultural industry. When I tell industry, it's all about instrumentation. It's all about establishment of equipments, ease. So people are working with R&D as well as manufacturing processes to understand these things better. So this is the need that is there today, and that's how we are trying to inspire you with the protocols of you getting linked to any of these biological resources that are there and get specialized and contribute to society. And this is one field where you are directly contributing to society and having a societal application. So that's what bioengineers do. I just want to take you through the milestones that are there just to get familiarized with how important are these milestones for us. So, what is important here to understand is that starting from as simple as a thermometer, okay, that came out in 1603. You know the importance of thermometer now. So, it is applicable in medical field for body temperature measurements. The thermometer that we used to use a few years back is now in an advanced portable small thing that is there, instrument that is there. So modifications and improvement have gone into that typical traditional thermometer that was there, discovered by Galileo. Then we know the thing of optical lenses that was introduced with Newton in 1666, and the usage of those in ophthalmoscope, and then the importance of stethoscope, that is just a hollow tube with a binaural stethoscope that is there, then hypodermic syringes that are there. You know the importance of X-ray that came out and its application in diagnosis and therapy, radioactivity in therapy, usage of echocardiograph. Okay, so that was there with the capillary meter, galvanometer. Then you have EEG and electroencephalogram that was there. EEG, that is then ECG. So pH electrodes that came in 1906, and electrical surgical unit. All these were the basic things that I'm talking about in this slide. So all of these, if you look into, they were not biologists who did this. They they were all engineers who did come out with it, and a combination of knowledge of biology and engineering aspect could get an application of it. They were meant for initially for some other purpose, but application was identified. Little more in advance, what I want to talk about here is some more medical instruments that are of critical demand, and new things that have come up are cyclotron, artificial radionucleotides that are there, ventilators, assisting ventilators, which keeps people alive uh, with positive pressure there, and ultrasonic imaging system with pulse, magnetic resonance imaging, and many other processes for analysis, diagnosis, and computer tomography (CT). That's what we call as in general terms of CT scan today, and electrical heart defibrillator, implanted electrical heart pacemaker. It is a small device that is put onto the muscles when muscles go weak to pump the heart. So that has its own life. It has its own warranty guarantee to an individual. So that's an external source that's put into the body. Just imagine all of these things have improved the life of humans. Heart valves, artificial, then you have cardiac catheters, and you have those studs that are put up in blocks, artificial kidney, that's a procedure of dialysis that goes with. Many are surviving for years together with the protocol of dialysis. Artificial heart that came up in 1984 are all examples or inspiration for you to understand that this is all engineers who have designed and have contributed to biological sciences. With this knowledge, I'll take you through the roles, responsibilities, the job roles that are there, and the advantages and the benefits of studying biomedical engineering. It's just that this is one of a field what you, whichever field you are getting expertised in, can get connected to. So you can be involved with a job role in any of the industries that we'll be discussing. So thus the use of engineering technology, instrumentation, and methods to solve medical problems, such as improving our understanding of physiology and the manufacture of artificial limbs and organs, have given life to many people. You might be wondering and you might be aware that these are the prosthetic devices that are there and that mimics the protocol. So this is how people uh, have been involved in the process. So one can be one engineer who can be. So if you just want to come out with a resource like this, imagine how many specializations, how many experts are needed in the process. A mechanical engineer is needed here, an optical electrical engineer, or electronics, a computer science to put in the algorithms or the softwares that are required in the process. Okay, so all of their contribution with with the understanding of what is biology, what happens in a natural means, is all a teamwork that goes with in solving a societal problem that do exist because of these problems around. And the field of biomedical engineering is relatively new and growing very quickly, so which make it attractive to a growing number of students. So that's how many are getting specialized. You are getting a basic degree in a process now in an undergraduate program. You can take up your masters in any of this field. So that's how you get specialized and you become a part of the biomedical industry. So employment of biomedical engineers is projected to grow 7%, I believe, from 2006 data that is taken to 2026, about as fast as the average of all other occupations. The same with biotechnology also. So that's the demand that is there. And what is the role? Who, where all? Again, there is no limited thing of only one area here. Where all can they assist? What all does a biomedical engineer do? So he can assist in the diagnosis and treatment of patients, computer analysis of patient related data, clinical decision making, medical informatics, artificial intelligence that we talk about. Is it all just a specialization of a biologist here? No, not at all. So it is thus a basic science that you study, and having a specialization of biomedical engineering can put you into a team of working with all of these aspects in biomedical engineering. The other important role is to supervise these biomedical equipment maintenance and the technicians involved. Investigate equipment failure. Okay, so if something goes wrong with an oximeter, or if something goes wrong with a ventilator in hospital, it's not the doctor who takes care of the process. It is an engineer who does take care. It's you will be a part of those instrumentation industry that is there. I spoke about some of those industries like Sartorius or Millipore involved with many instrumentation protocols. BD and a lot of industries are there with medical instrumentation. You can be a part of those and get expertise in handling these. And you can advise hospitals about purchasing and installing new advanced equipments as and how you grow with it. Designer manufactured products that can monitor physiologic functions or display anatomic details is to be carried out. And you can help in detection, measurement, and monitoring of physiological signals. Earlier, what was thermometer? Temperature checking was with a typical conventional thermometer with which we used to check time, right? 1 minute put into your mouth under the thing, no tongue, or into any of the armpit and all to understand the temperature of the body. Now, isn't that the demand of that thermometer during this COVID? Okay, put the biomedical engineers into working precisely to come out with the handy temperature checker that is there around. How many sales were there of that thermometer? Each and every small organization, small firm, or a household may people have taken that temperature checking machine. So that's instant also. It's just that it senses the body temperature, body part. Okay, usually the hand, the skin, to understand the temperature of it. So isn't that an advancement that is there? Isn't that an R&D that the engineers have done? I don't think this is done by biologists. It is done by engineers. And see how many things, if you just open one of that thermal checker, you will be able to understand how much of like digitalization is gone in, the type of sensors that are there, the portability and the design that is gone in. So many people have been involved in that. So it can be design people, it can be electrical people, it can be electronics, it can be mechanical involved in it, with the digital representation display, all programmed by computer engineers, and having a knowledge of what is that biological sensitivity that is worked with, is all that went into it to design that simple portable temperature checker that you see in each and every household and a firm today. So that's the importance we have to give, and that's the credit we should give to medical engineers. Biosensors is one more field. We have discussed that in the last session, all about a glucometer as such, or if you put an oximeter onto your finger, the saturation of oxygen that you get to know, right? and many more things. We have lot of applications very relevant to biosensors. It may be optical based assessment, it may be piezoelectric based assessment, it may be a thermistor, that is temperature based, or it may be optical based. Lot of applications have gone in. What is to be understood is the biological aspect of what is the analyte and what is a bioreceptor, that one has to plan accordingly. That is where you need a knowledge of biology. And once you understand that and take aid of these from biological sciences, you can build in a device for as simple as blood glucose assessment, that is glucometer, that is there. In the last session, I had told you that it's just the understanding of glucose and glucose oxidase that one has to look into. So that is the concept. So that is what is all about inventions of biosensors. There are many more. We talk about electronic nose, we talk about electronic tongue, we talk about EEG, ECG. All of these are the sensors, and biomedical instrumentation that is there, and medical imaging. These are the three things that are the major in the major engineering aspects that are involved in detection, measurement, and monitoring of physiological signals. So people are involved in any one of this industry. CT scan today, X-ray, if you talk about, see how much of aid one doctor gets with all these diagnostic tools to understand the actual problem to be treated. So all of these are the protocols that have to be followed. So a doctor do rely, or a medical person will definitely rely on all of these tools like biosensors, biomedical instrumentation, and medical imaging for the protocol of detection, measurement, and monitoring of physiological signals. A cancer tumor can also be diagnosed. You know the importance of diagnosis. As early as it is diagnosed, the treatment would be applicable very efficiently. So this is the knowledge with which you have to talk. We have to learn about engineering, medical engineering aspect. You have different job roles in biomedical engineering. You can take up as biomaterial developer. You know, so many materials can be used in those instruments that are designed. A design person will just give you a design, but a biomaterial person will select of what material can be used. If it has to be used inside the body, okay, he has to look into all the compatibility aspects. Anything that we just take it as a thing, no, a foreign body into our system can be uh, antigen, can be uh, allergic to us. Our body knows how to throw that out, right? Reject it. And imagine a piece of external source like pacemaker and many other things being put into the body and expect a survival ability. That is when one has to have a knowledge of biomaterials, and that too biocompatible materials that need not be rejected, that cannot be rejected in our system. So then we have manufacturing engineer who look into the design and see the shape, feasibility, and the cost effectiveness of all that material, and process of manufacture is taken care. Independent consultant to design and many other things. Specialization as a doctor as such can look into this. Biomedical scientist or researcher can be one of a job role. Rehabilitation engineer is one of a job role which is very important, who works with these orthopedic materials and prosthetic devices uh, to rehabilitate a person who is disabled. Then we have medical technology developer who will take care of many aspects of technology development. Not only that, other than these people are involved with the sales and marketing and financial strategies also associated with this biomedical engineering. So these are some fields of specialization that specialized in mechanical engineering can look into this aspect of biomechanics. Will work with the application of classical mechanics to biological or medical problems. Study of movement of biological solids, fluids, and viscoelastic materials is an expertise that one should be aware of. And muscle forces, design of artificial limbs. One has to have an understanding of what is the role of actin, myosin, and all of this in our movement, as in how I close my hand and expand it, right? There's a lot of activity that is going on with our muscles. So that contraction and expansion and the involvement of these proteins, okay, actin, myosin, in the process is the knowledge that one should know to work on mechanics. Biomaterial is the other field, so study of both living tissues and artificial synthetic biomaterials. Like one should have the knowledge of polymers, the types of polymers available in market, the metals that can be compatible and that can be used, the ceramics, the composite material. Okay, all of these are used to replace the part of the living system or to function in intimate contact with the living tissues. And we use them as implants. So there is a picture shown here to just to show you that these are some of the materials used in the body. So if there is a damage caused to by an accident, okay, people talk about putting a rod into the system. How feasible is it? How can one operate on this material? Okay, so we look for those optional biomaterials that are there, which are non-toxic, non-carcinogenic, okay, chemically inert. Okay, they should be very reliable to be put inside and technically very strong. So these are some of the things which should have life inside, and that's how one gets guarantee warranty on the material used into the body. So this is one specialization one engineer will be and can be associated with biomedical engineering. Biomedical sensors is one more field which I was talking about, taking care of the physical measurements, all of those, okay, that are dependent on biopotential electrodes, electrochemical sensors, optical sensors, any of these bioanalytical sensors, we call them as immunosensors, piezoelectric sensors. Lot of variants are there which people do rely on. They get specialized, and especially electronics people do get specialized with the aid of computer engineers here to understand. But the mechanical engineers also help in the design process and the manufacturing process with the aid of all those material science engineers also helping them pick up the material to be used in sensor technology. Just a simple strip that is used in glucometer, one can have a choice, good choice of first looking for a Wattman filter paper, then changing on to nitrocellulose membrane. Okay, a lot of such applications are there which people are working towards. That's the need today. And then there is a field of bioelectric phenomena, so where nerve and muscle cells, their origin, their generation in nerve, brain, heart, skeletal muscles, their analysis, their modeling, their recording, their diagnosis, all that has to be assessed. So there is a small lump also found in the brain. If left as such undiagnosed, it may be fatal. Okay, so a fall on the road or a fall with an accident can damage the portion of it. So all that can be assessed through these bioelectrical modes. So you have ECG, EEG, and a lot of things specifically meant for organs that need to be diagnosed. So first and foremost, when you go to a doctor, they first suggest you to get that test done. Only after the test done, he will be able to treat. So that's the importance given for medical engineers, biomedical engineers. Biomedical signal processing and analysis is one more field where collection and analysis of data from patients, a precise processing is involved, medical imaging and image processing, where provision of graphical display of anatomical details and physiological functions of the body is assessed. Medical imaging methods and devices are there. So it's a physical phenomena plus detectors plus electronic data processing plus graphical display all put together gives you an image. And some of those examples of those are X-ray, gamma photons, MRI, ultrasound, CT scan, right? All of these things. So just look into the device that one has as a specialized instrument to get all the things analyzed. So it is non-invasive protocols that are worked out for the imaging system for a better understanding of the disease and which would aid the doctors in the specialists in treatment. Medical instruments and devices is one more field where as simple as thing, ventilator with so many parameters read in an ICU is what is seen. So design of all those medical instruments and devices to monitor and measure the biological functions put up very next to the bed of a patient in ICU are related to this. Application of electronics and measurement techniques to develop devices used in diagnosis and treatment of disease, biopotential amplifiers, patient monitors, electrosurgical devices are all there, very important in life surviving potential. And one has to have a knowledge of cellular level. Hence, in almost all of these fields that I have discussed, a consultant who is a biotechnologist is needed. So, who has a knowledge of all these parameters that need to be assessed? The other two important areas in biomedical engineering is to have an understanding of cell and tissue engineering, who again is a biologist who can have a knowledge of anatomy, biochemistry, and biomechanics of cellular and subcellular structures to understand disease processes, and they are able to intervene at very specific sites. And one has to have a knowledge of design, construction, modification, growth, and maintenance of living tissues. So, bioartificial tissue and alteration of cell growth and function is what is necessary. Today, we can do lot of in vitro studies where artificially we can grow some tissue outside and put into the body. We can insert a gene into the body for a therapeutic purpose. Wherever there is a deficiency in the body, people do look for an alternative therapy. It's just not drugs at times that works and that helps. It's some of the cells that can be grown outside with the aid of scaffolds can help in overcoming the issues and the problems that are there. I have told you about rehabilitation engineering. It's assisting orthoprosthetic devices. So, application of science and technology to improve the quality of life of individuals who have physical and cognitive impairments. That is what is called handicaps. It can be genetically related or it can be a physical accident that would have caused damage to them with this impairment. They have to live with it, with the life. So that's how artificial um, engineering products are associated with these individuals in and help them in their day-to-day activities. So that is how you have this as assisting orthoprosthetic, assisting with these orthoprosthetic devices, and that's why the term rehabilitation engineering is given as a broad name to the engineers involved in such devices. So that's about all the biomedical engineering things that are there, and you have a lot of therapeutic devices other than these many that I spoke about. It can be at times a device that help you in physiotherapy. That is also a process of rehabilitation that is there once you have overcome an accident, overcome a surgery, overcome a protocol on your body. It becomes necessary for one to go through a stability and to revive back the processes. So that's what is called therapeutic devices. So here it delivers physical substances to the body to treat the disease, which can be voltage, current, pressure, flow, force with ultrasound, electromagnetic radiations, and heat. And these are the devices that are used to treat disorders, devices to assist or control that physiological functions. So one cannot live with the pain that is there. So these are some devices that help in the process, something like traction or something like a frozen shoulder that can be treated with these devices. So it will help you overcome all those problems that are associated with the protocol. So different engineering principles, as you have gone through all of these, the major things involved in this are a knowledge of optical, computer science, and material science, and definitely mechanics. So fiber optics, optical measurements, all that is a part that one do study in electronics. Computer science is the computational medicine signals and image analysis information system that the instruments are programmed for. So that is the role that is there, and one has to have knowledge of that. And then you have material science, where implanted devices, artificial tissues have to be incorporated into the body, and one has to make sure that they are compatible and they are not rejected. Somebody with a human's kidney, when transplanted, can be rejected in our body. Forget about these things. So with that specificity in our body for rejection, we have to be very careful in implanting some of the devices to have a knowledge of rejection. So it should not be rejected. That's the compatibility study one takes through the whole of this protocol. That's all about the biomedical engineering aspect of it. The other important field that one can be associated with as engineers is a pharmaceutical industry. What comes to our mind when we talk about pharma industry? Pharma industry, like this is the picture that comes to your mind, right? Like all sorts of medicine. When it is pharma, it can be anything. It can be an allopathic medicine, it can be an ayurvedic medicine, it can be Unani, it can be homeopathy, right? It can be biotechnological medicines. When I tell biotechnological, it is natural organisms modified or for the benefit of, we have recombinant insulin in market. Okay, we have recombinant vaccines that are there today to help survive with the life. So all of these are the 5 different fields where people need pharmacists, and the pharma industry is growing because of all of these involved in it. So other than this, when I look into all of these things, this is pharma industry. Just look into those things. It can be injections involved, it can be those vials involved. What is there? Those bottles that are involved in storing the medicine. It is that capsule, and if I look into the capsule, it's just not drug that is there. See the design of the capsule, see the material used in the capsule. If I'm swallowing the whole capsule, the outermost coat is not what I'm interested in. It's only the medicine that I'm interested in. And if it is the capsule, it is the material science people who do give an idea. And this is a machine that compresses that known amount of drug into a tablet, and it is made. Just not that, look into the design of covering. Okay, if I recognize Dolo 650 today, it's because of that blue covering that is there and that oval shaped tablet that is there in it, right? Each one of the tablet which are most common, we know that we identify with their thing. It's all that design, it's all that packing process, it's all the instruments that are involved in the protocol of manufacturing and packing process that goes with. Many engineers' mind goes behind this industry of pharma. So engineers play an important role. So if I'm talking about cosmetics, that's also a part of pharma industry. Over the counter, these are the things we buy. On what basis? A toothbrush, a toothpaste, a design that is put into it. Okay, so what materials are used are the pharmacist who decide on. But if a toothbrush has to be a zigzag or a normal, it has to be smooth, it has to be hard or medium, okay, or the a nail paint or um, material used for or that is application not orally, it's just the superficial applications onto the skin that is there with lot of moisturizers or many things that are around for pain relievers or your cold relievers or an antibiotic sorry anti yes antibiotic based cream that has to be applied for antibacterial activity. All that what is available not with prescription just like that are also a part of pharma industry. Just imagine one, how many specialists and how many expertise of engineers are required in an outcome like this. So this is pharma industry, and you know the importance of this in this COVID pandemic. So all this is a pharma industry. So it's a very big field that is there. Hence, the pharmaceutical sector offers a huge scope for engineers to work in the development and manufacture of drugs. That's one thing. This also includes classical pharmaceuticals where prescribed medicines are there. There is a field called biopharmaceuticals, and you know every other pharma industry did go into the vaccine development in this pandemic because it was so much of competition that something had to work, and that's how parallelly you had Covishield also, Covaxin also, like Sputnik also, and many more that did show efficiency. As in how they were discovered, they had to be manufactured also, they had to be packaged also, and see what all possible things would have been involved in the whole of the protocol packaging, marketing, sales, all of those things. Engineers played an important role in this industry during this pandemic. Consumer business, over the counter medicines, other than that. Okay, maybe vitamin things, immunity boosters, the Dolo. Okay, we have so many memes these days about Dolo 650. So many have consumed that. So that's the trend that is there. So biopharmaceuticals are a developing part of healthcare. Manufacturers of generic drugs that are growing, and these organizations tend to have small research departments but large manufacturing arms. So that's how we have pharma industry involving all of these booming. And what is the role of engineers here? Engineers work alongside chemists and pharmacists to research and develop the active pharmaceutical ingredient formulated to the product that a patient takes. If it has to be in a very compact tablet that has to be consumed, lot of engineering goes behind it, based on the shape, based on the texture, based on the coating that is there. If a tablet is coated with a color, it is just not a color coating, it is to avoid the bitterness of the chemicals, they do put sugar coating. And if it has to be done, it is an instrument that does that job of coating. So many instruments and the design goes with the requirement in pharma industry. So there is an increasing cost pressure that is there. profit margins have been cut to keep the cost to the patient low, because a medicine, if I have to rely on an analgesic, I know the maximum I can spend on it is 1 rupee or 2 rupees. So if that is not uh, the price, and if it is available, analgesic is available over the counter for 10 rupees, definitely I will not be picking up that. So if there is a competition in industry, one analgesic which is available for two, if some other industry also want to compete with the same analgesic, they have to give the cost to 2 rupees only or around it, not making it 10. It will not have a market in that case. So that's the challenge that engineers have these days, with these things in mind, and they have to design the instruments. They have to. The process is the one that contributes to the cost. That's all. What material that is used in packaging contributes to the cost. It is the protocols that are used contributing to the cost. So all of these things have to be kept in mind, and to make life saving drugs available in poor countries, you have to have a low cost, but not at the cost of a loss to the company. So engineering will need to use technology to improve that efficiency and yields as in the consumer industry. So applying in-depth knowledge of science and engineering, and using in-line monitoring and measurement means products should be made to the highest standard possible at all stages. That's the need of engineers. That's the role of engineers in pharma industry. So other than this, there are so-called process engineers who are involved. So here they work on project teams with more senior engineers involved in designing the instruments that are just shown in these pictures. To the left, you can see all the possible uh, materials that are required in a medical field or in a pharma field. Take it tablets, capsules, the coating that you see on the tablets, the vials that are there, which can be glass vials, bottles, okay, other materials. So few things that I have listed, I've tried listing to have an understanding that each one of it, the design and the packaging that has gone in, is all the effort of engineers that has gone into. And right side you can see a picture of a pharma industry. So see the instrumentation that is there, see the profiling that is there, see the control measurements that are there. So that's all the role of mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, and definitely electronics and computer engineers that help in programming the instrument to manufacture these drugs. Nothing goes manual, all are automated these days. So that with the because it's material of pharma which has to be consumed, so equally hygiene and safety measures have to be maintained. So job responsibilities of a process engineer may include designing chemical or biological methods for mass production of the compounds, designing equipments to produce such amount, designing and overseeing the construction of various elements of manufacturing plants from pilot to commercial scale. The scaling up is also important, and it's all because of engineers that this can be done. So this is one of a field one can explore. Other than this, there is sales and promotion of pharma brands to doctors, hospitals, and other people, because there is competition here where medical representatives do the job, and that industry is controlled by district managers, area managers, regional managers, manager, international marketing, and exports. So that's how many are involved with the designation. Having this knowledge of engineering, production, and scaling up, the people can get into this field of sales and promotion industry also. These are the opportunities that are listed in pharma industry. So these are the job roles that are there. One can enter into pharma marketing, the other one can just get into the academics, teaching all these things to the upcoming students. Production and manufacturing, formulation and development is one of our field. Research and development obviously will be there in each and every field. So an engineer can also get into R&D of industry to help pharmacists come out with novel ideas and novel packaging systems and novel protocols. So that's again a team that goes with in coming out a new product. Hospital pharmacy is one more big area where people are involved. Community pharmacy, drug inspectors, drug controllers, drug analysts, they are majorly the pharma people who are into this. But engineers can be there in quality control and quality assurance, production and manufacturing, or they may enter into academics, or they can be scientists in government as well as private bodies. If they want to move towards a specialization, they can move towards drug regulatory affairs and get involved in some of those aspects also. And pharmaceutical packaging is also one more field where engineers' ideas are required, are involved in the process. And the last slide to show you that these are some of the branches that are there involved in any of a pharma product coming into the market. Having a knowledge on chemical, electrical, people with expertise in electronics, environmental, instrumentation, manufacturing, mathematics, mechanics, physics, power systems and software. So if one engineer have a knowledge of all of these things, he can be a part of a pharmaceutical industry. So that's about pharma industry. So we have discussed on biomedical and pharma industry. The other important technology or engineering application that you can think of related to in biological sciences is agro biotechnology. So agro biotechnology is agricultural biotechnology where again, lot of things in this. I'll show you that there is a trend of improvement that has gone into this. When I just listen to a term called agriculture, what comes to our mind is that you have that farmers, you have a land, you will sow a seed, you will get a plant, you get a yield, and that yield is sold into the market, and that is the produce that one gets. And we always have this thing of a poor knowledge on this industry. But today it is not so. It's a very good booming industry that is there, and engineers can get associated with agricultural field also. Now, what is agricultural biotechnology? So it is a range of tools, including traditional breeding techniques that alter the life organisms or parts of organisms to make or modify the products, improve plants or animals, or develop microorganisms for specific agricultural use, and all the fields that are taken care of or that has given importance to in these days, and that is agrobiotechnology. It is collection of specific scientific techniques that are used to improve plants. If I have to tell you, improve plants, what does it mean? Improve plants is improve the yield, improve the resistance to pesticide, improve resistance to insecticide, improve a plant to overcome drought, overcome extreme conditions, improve a plant to overcome the cold conditions that are there. So all the abiotic stress that is there can be taken care. It should be able to produce good yield, a good quality yield. I want to increase the sweetness of an apple. Yes, that has to be taken care. At times, you have to improve animal for yield, for a good yield of flesh, whatever it is. So there is this concept of genetic engineering of biology applied here, where people have improved the size of salmon or fish. Salmon is a fish in the same time of when compared to a natural one. So if all of these are sold by weight, in that case 1 kg matters for a farmer. So in that case, in the same time of around 2 months, if I get a natural salmon at around 500 grams, this genetically modified salmon can go up to 4 kgs. So how many times is the increase of that animal that is gone in with a good yield? So that is the amount that is fetched by the farmer to sell one of that fish. So that's the demand of transgenic things that are there. Not only that, resistance to some of the diseases, making uh, uh, chicken healthy with no antibiotics used on it, making a microorganism or modifying that to benefit plants in their growth, modifying them or formalizing them to be called as biofertilizers. Okay, making organisms to work on as pests, biopests. Okay, so pesticides. So all of these things are some of the modifications that biotechnologists have worked in coming out or in working in for an improvement of plants, animals, and microorganisms. I want to tell you that biotechnologists have worked in coming out with a golden rice. Golden rice is yellow colored rice. It's just not rice today. It is if I eat rice, I get only starch. It's a staple food that is there. And today, government has announced this Akshaya Patra scheme. What happens with this is every child has that right to get a bowl of rice with whatever accessories that are there. But if we have not thought of the vitamin deficiencies that are there in these starving children, okay, those poverty line based children. So if one can a scientist can work towards supplementing a vitamin A into the rice, it is a cherry on a cake, right? So that is what scientists did work with, coming out a rice which has vitamin in it, that is called golden rice. So all these are worked out by biotechnologists. And if a tomato has a life from the harvest to selling, okay, at times the cost of the tomato goes 2 rupees, 5 rupees per kg. And at times if they are not sold, where the scientists, the farmers just throw that in the market because they won't get the cost of this thing also, the effort that they have put in. They just throw it and then go. In that case, can we delay the ripening process? Is one aspect which is worked out, and we have this called delayed fruit ripening process that's genetically engineered and worked out for. That is agriculture. And today we talk about tissue culture technology. Today we talk about hydroponics. So all of these things are the terms that came up in this pandemic because engineers just didn't do their job working from home. They have concentrated on all of these applications and aspects that are around. So based on the understanding, scientists have developed solutions to increase the agricultural productivity. So biotechnology allows farmers to grow more food on less land using farming practices that are environmentally sustainable, low cost and good yield. These are some terms that they have been following and they have worked on. So that is agrobiotech industry that we have to concentrate on. I'll take you through all of these aspects a little more in detail. So through biotechnology, you get seeds yield more per acre, and the plants naturally resist uh, to specific insect pests and diseases, and farming techniques to improve the soil conservation. that is there. So these are some of the fields where scientists have worked for. And research and work of agricultural biotechnologists has the potential to improve the quality of food crops and to solve global food problem. They are called GMOs, genetically modified organisms or crops. And what is worked here is some of these things that I spoke about: a delayed fruit ripening process or a nutritional improvement in rice. And not just not that, there is one apple that is called Sinadel apple available in the shelves or in US, which has sweeter taste as well as a cinnamon flavor in it. That's engineered for some beneficial purpose. So just not that, these crops grown for biomass, and those biomass being used for fuel purpose. I was talking about Jetropa. Okay, so that is the trend of biotechnologists with the buyback policy of government helping the farmers grow that plant, buy the seeds, and use it for trans-esterification process to produce biodiesel. So that was a trend. Other energy conserving projects are there pertaining to agriculture. So there are some plants meant for just produce and take that for fermentation or for the process of burning into ashes to get energy. Improvement of plant growth through biopesticides and other things, improving plant seed quality, improve animal health and breeding, learn more at the other protocols of root grower supply. All these are the trends that are there in which one can get involved as engineers. When I talk about genetically modified organism, contains DNA that can be altered. That is called engineering, genetic engineering. A knowledge of an engineer with DNA or nuclear material and handling that with protocols is a genetic engineer. Genetically modified animals are mainly used for research purpose, while genetically modified plants are common in today's food supply. So that's the trend today, and engineers are involved in it. And when I talk about genetic engineering, there are so many instruments and machinery involved in the process. I talk about gene gun, I talk about electrophoresis, I talk about lot of instruments that are there around. So career opportunities in agricultural biotechnology is to have a product development scientist, industries, agricultural consultant, agriculture management, self-employment, process development scientist, research and development. Agricultural sales includes selling machinery, animal feed, fertilizers, and seed to farmers. So these are some career opportunities one can think of. When I talk about product development scientist, yes, it has to be uh, a, a person specialized in an outcome of a product. It can be an engineer who can help in designing and coming out with that product. In industries, it's all the instrumentation and maintenance that is one needs. And there are so many instruments that are there which can be improved on. I'll just show you a few pictures. You'll be happy to see those, is because that is advancement that is there today in agriculture field. It's not that typical traditional, what do you call, the manual protocol a farmer used to slog in the field for a long time. A small subsidized investment with the aid of government can help in improving the agricultural practices. So one can be an agricultural consultant to give an idea of when to use what and what instrumentation to be used and what protocols to be used. Agriculture management, self-employment to have any one of this industry tagged with supply industry. Also, if you just get into Amazon or any of that thing, No, no, or just go to India Mart. You will find so many in the field of supply of agricultural machinery that is there. So you can be an entrepreneur for this reason. Then process development scientists and R&D scientists to improve on the existing machinery is one of a opportunity that one can think of. So other than this, agricultural sales is also there, which includes selling machinery, animal feed, fertilizers, and seeds for farmers. It's just not in India. Agricultural biotechnology jobs in US also are there. Many are there. Only few I have listed here. One can work in that field as a research associate, horticulture scientist, or senior scientist. Then they can be a senior food and agriculture analyst who can be an economist or modeler, agricultural scientist or an engineer who can work on instruments, a research genesis who can be who can have the knowledge of genes and genetics and work towards plant or animals in this. Agricultural science research technician can be one of a field that one can get specialized, and any of the engineer can be a research scientist in agro industry. So these are some of the jobs that are open. I just want you to get familiarized with the advancement that has gone into agrobiotechnology today. This picture shows an agricultural machinery that is advanced for a need that is there. And what is this machinery is where engineers contribute to. Imagine if this has to be automated. Also, many engineers are involved in just an outcome of one of a machinery like this or a device like this. So it relates to the mechanical structures and devices that are being manufactured for farming and other agriculture purpose. There are many types of such equipments, from hand tools and power tools to tractors and the countless kinds of farm implements that are there for towing or operating purpose. Diverse arrays of equipments are used both in an organic and non-organic farming these days, especially since the advent of mechanized agriculture. Agricultural machinery is an indispensable part of how the world is fed today. So thus we call it as a rich agrobiotech industry, not a poor agrobiotech industry these days. So that's the advancement that is there. These are some more devices that I wanted to show you. Automated devices that are there for anything, spraying purpose. It can be the pesticides that you want to spray. Imagine acres and acres of land. If it has to be sprayed manually, how many laborers and farmers are required, and what's the time that would be taken for the process. And if there is a field of yield like this, a cotton yield that you see in the other picture, harvesting that would take how long? Okay, so there are many YouTube videos. I want you to go through those YouTube videos that aid in the process of agricultural industry. They are there to pick up your apples or oranges from the tree. So hands-free, damage-free protocol is taken care. One man handling that truck or a procedure can handle the whole of the field on his own, and it is time saving also. It's time saving and very authentic, and there is no loss in the process of protocol. Just not that, if you look into the packaging industry, food and food produce also, like for example, fruits being used, sorted out for something good, and then jam making, okay, or pulp making industry, food industry. It's all the agricultural produce that goes with. And imagine if you are able to see such big factory here, It's all the instrumentation, design, and automation that has gone into the protocol. So it's just not the fruit that is seen here in these pictures. It's the effort of the engineers that have gone in designing such instrument. I did speak about some of these food industry involved in sorting out a quality-based material, roasting, blending, powdering, packaging, and making it available to the market, all without manual intervention. That gives a hygiene today. So if you're talking about all that machinery that is there in big brands like MTR or other things, standardized things in any of the eateries also, like KFC and all, so much of engineering has gone into the protocol for an efficient procedure in agro industry. So I just want you to be aware of how and what is the role of engineers in agro industry. So initially, we used to have traditional protocol of growing the plants, okay, producing that food and feed products, rice, wheat, corn, and all of those, and look for the effort that farmers put in for a price. And today we talk about GM, genetically modified crops, for because in a traditional protocol there may be a loss, there may be a pest, there may be a drought that will completely destroy the crop. That is what happens in natural. And see the yield also. What is the yield of that cotton that is there? But if it is genetically modified, industrial biomaterials are produced like wood, biofuel, bioplastic. Like if you talk about this cotton, we have something called BT cotton these days. You might have heard of this term called BT. BT is not biotechnology, it stands for Bacillus thuringiensis. A scientist have understood that a gene that is there in a bacteria that is called Bacillus thuringiensis, when put into the plants, the plant gets resistance to a pest. Okay, so all these are pest resistant plants that are generated. How is because it produces a crystalline protein. When a larvae feeds on that plant, which is genetically modified now, after eating that, it dies within 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours. The reason being that this crystalline protein in the gut of the larvae damages the tissue and the animal ultimately, thereby leading to the death. With this, there is no propagation of the larvae and hence the plants are free from the pest. That is where you get a good yield of the crop. That's what is genetically modified. If we talk about some of the organizations in Bangalore only, MNCs like Monsanto and all, they are into this. They are into the production of these transgenic. And imagine a Monsanto is a MNC. One engineer can get associated with the industry in the protocol of manufacturing of those materials or plants in the protocol. So there is a need of greenhouse, there is a need of modifying instruments that are involved where engineers can play an important role. So one could get that feel of increase in the earnings that were there. So a decision is made from the conventional protocol to a genetically modified protocol. Then people thought of an investment on a land. Why so much? Why not I grow a plant in a small bottle, glass bottle? So that's how I have this as a source. So that is called tissue culture technology and a bioreactor technology. There may be many plants these days being used as vaccines. They are called plantibody. They are called edible vaccines. There are many plants that are used as antibodies for the produce of antibodies, and such is a protocol called antibody, an antibody produced by plants. That is the trend that is there today. There are edible vaccines, and vaccines are always taken as injection. but there are some proteins that are expressed in plants and they can be eaten up. And that is what is required today in plant industry. And that is called edible vaccine. So that's the trend of plant tissue culture technology. I can grow plants in bottles. I can show you a few more pictures. And these reactor like process is adopted for the materials or bioactive compounds that are important for therapeutic and pharmaceutical products. So we talk about antibodies, we talk about anti-vaccines and peptides. That's a market that has boomed like anything, and now farmers are not that old traditional poor farmers that are there. If they can have these many engineered aspects into their system, they are the ones that this is one of our industry that is booming. And some of these pictures will definitely attract you is because this is the trend that is there today. You have something called hydroponics. So what is hydroponics? Hydroponics is you don't need land to grow your plants. You just need water and a nutrient medium to grow. So all these are the ingredients that are required in a protocol of plant growth. So if all of the industry people are involved in the production of this, the demand went so high in this pandemic that all whoever engineers at home could think of in a balcony also, they had a small unit of hydroponics. And the market went so high in the purchase because again Amazon or Flipkart could deliver that small package as less as 4,000 to 2,000 rupees. You could get a small pack of a home kit for hydroponics. And people did try and they got so much of interest that today there is a market for industry manufacturing these sort of equipments meant to grow vegetables, green leafy vegetables especially, and that is the system is called hydroponics. In a hydroponic, imagine one industry is into complete nutrition production and sales. The other one is in the manufacturing of these automated devices. The other one is into optical, the light source, because there is the same light and dark cycle that a natural plant goes through for a process of photosynthesis. That is the same wavelength that is required here also. So one has to engineer and do R&D to give an efficient light there. And then there are many other medias, disinfectants that are used in the process. There are mechanics involved in it for pumping in the required amount of water and pumping out the used media. So all of these things and some monitoring and digital display machines or devices that are fit here and there to understand, okay, to understand the thing. So all mechanical engineers, computer engineers, electrical engineers, don't you feel all of them were involved in coming up with a device that is involved in hydroponics? So that is one of a trend that is there in agro biotechnology. Do you feel these farmers are poor now? No, they are minting money and they have that business which just so demanding. So this is what I have reflected in this slide to let you know that most businesses have become sluggish due to coronavirus or in this pandemic. In such a situation, big cities dependent on villages or other cities are trying a new way to supply fruits and vegetables, and they are cultivating these fruits and green vegetables in large quantities by farming without soil, and that is called hydroponics. Hydroponic is a Greek word which means hydro means water and ponos. Okay, so it combines to form a new word that means without soil. So the technique is in which plants can be grown only with the help of water and without soil. And in this, the speed of growth of the plant is also 30 to 50% faster than the plants that grow in soil. So in a small span, you will get a good yield. So that is, if a tomato vine takes about 2 months to grow, okay, then in this cultivation of hydroponics, it will just show in 3 weeks. So that's the trend that people have come out with the technology. Again, this is an R&D and engineer's mind that went into manufacturing so many devices pertaining and designs pertaining to hydroponics. So this is one of a field of agrobiotech that is there. And recently, one second. Yeah. Recently, there is one more trend that has gone into people who are following hydroponics. They don't want that lettuce and other greens to grow. This is a trend that is there in five-star hotels and all. If you order for some nice good salad, it will have just sprouts. That is called microgreens. These are called microgreens. They don't want the whole plant to grow. They just put the seeds and they just want them to germinate. And that germinated two-leafed structure that is there is what is put into the salads. They are said to be very rich in nutrients, very rich in protein and other things. So hence this is used in, again you have a separate setup that industry is following. Many hotels have these setups in-house with them, where engineers are associated maintaining and designing them. And so that's one of a role one could play in agri-biotechnology. So that's about microgreens. And the other thing that I was talking about is plant tissue culture technology. What is tissue culture technology? It is a technology where you grow the plants not in water, not in soil, but in a media, in a glass bottle or a tube like this. And this uniqueness of this is you don't need a seed to grow plant. Any part of the plant, okay, it can be leaf, a small piece of leaf, a small piece of stem, a small piece of a root can regenerate into a plant, complete plant as such. That is the totipotency ability of a plant that is utilized here in tissue culture aspect. So plant tissue culture is a collection of techniques used to maintain or grow plant cells, tissues or organs under sterile conditions on a nutrient culture medium of a known composition put in a agar based medium which is just solidified, and it is widely used to produce clones of plants in a method that is called micropropagation. So you can see in one bottle you may have around 50 to 100 plants, and this can be hardened and they can be marketed. So that's the demand for any of these fruiting plants. So in a bottle like this, simple bottle like this, I can grow up to some 50 banana plantlets. So those 50 easily I can sell by hardening it into small pots and growing them to a certain level. They are disease free, they are very sensitive, they are grown in greenhouses. Just imagine if one has to get into an industry like this, it's all engineers' effort that has gone again behind this. These are some sophisticated instruments that are used in the process of tissue culture technology. These are some instruments that are involved in the process for laminar airflow. We have autoclaves, we have some instruments for sterilization, maintaining stability throughout media compositions, and all of these things are well equipped labs that work with plant tissue culture technology. So you at Dayanand Sagar University also have a very well established plant tissue culture lab. So if you have interest, talk to your teachers, mentors, and have a look at those setups that are there. and it's all the engineers' efforts that have gone into an establishment, electrical people involved in the process. There is automation, there is temperature control, and many other things where it's programmed for certain protocol of switching on and switching off of the light, because it has to maintain a natural condition of day and light for an efficient photosynthesis and growth. All of these things automated are the efforts put in by all sort of are all specialized engineers. So this is about agro biotechnology. Just finish this topic by um, telling you the advantages and disadvantages of this. Advantages of agricultural biotechnology is that this is helps to reduce the use of pesticides. There is crops resistant to diseases, and you have crops resistant to pests, increased yields, reduced production costs, increased yields that are there. Okay, and then you have a reduced production costs, foods that are nutritionally enriched, foods that long last out. That's what I was talking about, delayed fruit ripening. The one I spoke, gave an example for golden rice, is for foods that are nutritionally enriched. Okay, with all of these techniques of hydroponics or tissue culture technology, you have reduced production cost and reduced fats in the food. So all of these are some advantages adopting these novel agricultural techniques, which is contributed by engineers. So that's the trend that is there. So one has to explore all in all possible ways to understand this process. Then we have some disadvantages should be careful with is agricultural biotechnology may increase herbicide resistant weeds. This technology may create new types of microorganisms like viruses or bacteria. There was a threat that if I'm using Bacillus thuringiensis into the plant and that plant is eaten up by humans or animals, will there be the toxin moving to the into the food web or into the food chain? Yes, it will, but there are evidences to prove that this toxin is a toxin only to the larvae, not to anything or any other thing. So does we are sure, but there is this there thought that this may be a problem. So plants produced using agriculture biotechnology techniques may poison wildlife by producing. So it's told that there was one picture, I couldn't put it here, but I'll tell you that there was a cartoon which tells that a plant is so proud to tell that come eat me and die. That's what it is telling to a pest. So with this, if you are completely concentrating on getting or completely concentrating on a process of improving the thing, so you have created such plants that has disturbed the the process of food chain. Okay, now rodents, insects were there on the feeding on the plants. There were rodents that were feeding on these insects. There was a snake that used to feed on this rodent. Wasn't there a food chain that was maintained, eco balance that is maintained in a system that got disturbed? So that is a problem that is associated with this particular process, that is agricultural biotechnology. So that those are some disadvantages. Other than that, lot of advantages do compose these disadvantages. So career opportunities here include engineers involved in one of another field of importance, that is coming out with robots and accessories that are very handy to be used in for all of these. I'll show you a few examples. Robots for weed control, robots with autonomous systems for navigation in the fields, robots moving, pruning, seeding, spraying, cleaning, robots in nurseries, robots for row crop, vineyard and orchard applications, robots for sorting and packaging process, and robots for the other agricultural platforms. I'll show you a few examples of robots that are there. Simple as this, which is called AgriBot. It's a robot deployed for agricultural purpose. The main area of this is at the harvesting stage, and robots like these have many benefits for agricultural industry, and that includes high quality of fresh produce because there is no manual handling, lower production costs, and a smaller need for manual labor. So with these techniques, which run on a device like this, imagine all of this is programmed by engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and computer science, and all of those engineers in the process. Having the knowledge of all of these and biological aspects and designing like this is a field of interest that one can think of. There are a few robots called Robot Gardener, which is a mobile robot able to maintain the soil humidity and pick the ripe fruits. Okay, and a network of sensors attached to each plant monitors the soil humidity and call the robot for watering. That is technology, that is engineering that one can think of. The robot communicates wirelessly with the plant sensor and thus is involved. So if one robot has to come out like this, all engineers are needed and required for a device construction like this. So just imagine having a greenhouse like this where these tissue cultured plants are grown. There is one robot called Agrobot SW6010. At the first glance, the robot looks very similar and very familiar. It looks like a tractor only, but this machine uses sensors and robotic arms to detect ripe berries, especially these strawberries, and pick these up from the ground. They don't pick. So it's an automated machine picking up these strawberries and putting it into a basket fitted into with a robotic arm. So these are some of the examples of robots that are in agriculture. This is one more called Hortibot, which is a machinery that helps the farmers with the weeds. So weeds are unwanted plants that grow near your crop plant, and they compete with your plant for nutrition. Okay, and that's how we don't want weeds around our crop plant. And if they take up more nutrition, we will have less yield with our crop plant, and sometimes weeds overgrow that. And with an eco-friendly weed removing attachment, the robot recognizes and eliminates up to 25 different kinds of weeds. So that is the thing. Just look into this picture and tell me how many engineers and how many specialized engineers are involved in this process. So there is a programming done, there is a sensor, there are sensors attached, there is mechanical engineering aspect, there is biomechanics involved in all of these, sensing what weeds, how, on what basis does it sense. It has to get standardized with a protocol of smell. So those are some of the things that one works with to come out with a robot or a successful robot like this. So that's one, and the last one is called B-bot, and this just looks like this thing, right? A bee, which is small flying robot, and this is inspired by bees because they are involved in pollination, a process of pollination. So this is how these robotic bees are involved in the pollination process, thereby increasing the produce. So these are some of the robots having a knowledge of all of the engineering aspects. You have these developed in market to understand things better and to help in agro industry, in agro biotechnology for a better improvement. Okay, so all of these are the advanced techniques that are in trend today in agricultural field, and thus agriculture industry or agro industry is booming. And if I have listed out all of those designations or the job roles of engineers, you may be contributing or you may be involved in any one of these projects that I have mentioned. So that's all about the career opportunities that are there in agro industry. I'll take some 5 minutes break. And the last topic of Unit 2 is this. We will discuss on entrepreneurship opportunities or bio-entrepreneurship uh, pertaining to biological sciences. Okay, the next part of it, I'll be discussing on entrepreneurship. That's the last part of understanding in Unit 2. So the topic was all about career opportunities and entrepreneurship opportunities pertaining to biological sciences and especially biotechnology, because technology is involved along with life science to bring in a change and revolutionize the existing conventional protocols. So if I have to talk about entrepreneurship, I'll just brief you on few of the definitions. Who can be an entrepreneur? And then we will discuss on bio-entrepreneurship. So to understand this term, an entrepreneur and entrepreneurship, two terms. An entrepreneur is a person having a unique and practical idea in his or her mind. A person who wants to set up a thing or a unit or startup on his or her own. So, entrepreneurship is the process of starting and running a business, of providing creative products and services. Characteristics of a successful entrepreneur is the person should have curiosity. A successful entrepreneurs have a sense of curiosity that allows them to continuously seek new opportunities, a structured experimentation, okay, and then you have an adaptability, a decisiveness, a team building ability, okay, a self tolerance ability. So if that doesn't work, you should be able to handle it. Comfortable with failure, because you'll start with failures. You should have lot of persistence and patience to be an entrepreneur. That's how if you start with a unit on your own, you should be able to sustain and help improve, and definitely it will click. If you look into the stories of all those who are into good business and good things, bio setups or bio industries today, then have a story to tell you that they just started in a small shed, and now it's million crores of turnover units that are set up. So it's all of these characters that one can get into entrepreneurship. So entrepreneur is a person, entrepreneurship is a process, okay, enterprise is the outcome. So these are some terms that one should be familiar with. The components are include a process having 5 phases. First and foremost is you need to work out as an entrepreneur to have an idea generation, and then evaluate on the opportunity of what is to be done and how to start. Evaluate whether it works or it will not work. Then you have to plan and properly with all the aspects of a unit establishment to the financial and marketing and sales aspect. Then go with company formation and launch it. And I suggest initially to prove the concept, okay, for proof of concept, one has to go with fundings of government. If once that is done, you can invest on it. And if you have to invest, again, there are a lot of subsidies and support from government as well as private sectors to take care of those entrepreneurship units. And then you will see a growth. So idea generation, opportunity evaluation, planning, company formation or launch, and growth are the 5 phases that an entrepreneur will go through for a process of entrepreneurship. Elements of entrepreneurship needs these many, an entrepreneurship needs these many elements. First and foremost, the product that is coming out. Now you can relate all what we have discussed in the previous session, in the last few minutes, that It can be any of these bio industries that we have discussed for to be applicable in pharma industry or in an industry of agriculture coming out with such robots. If they really work genuinely, go for mass production of those and market of those products, or see if it is a biomedical field where there was a demand of many sensors for your COVID viral protocol. There were many instruments associated with this relevant to COVID process. So those have to be those have to be started. So those people who started left all their thing. They modified their whole business to produce sanitizers. The whole business, textile industry turned towards manufacturing masks. Okay, so that's how, based on the demand, based on the thing, you should get yourself adopted to the demand of the day, and that's where you can make money. So first, these are the five elements that need to be there. One should be, there should be innovation in it. There should be organization. There is a decision making that is required, a risk that has to be weighed, and there should be a vision of what exactly you want from your uh, enterprise. So that these are the important things that one has to keep in mind. Oh, so many companies are producing masks. So how is that only few companies could make good money and the other went in loss? It's all because of that vision that they had in giving all that what a consumer requires for a long-lasting ability, economical, and having the potential, all of those things reusable. So many factors can be considered to be taken into account. So this is one more slide where I could get to show you the key elements of entrepreneurship. It's mainly the opportunity, the resources, and the organization that connects most of it. And in all of these things, environment and configuration plays an important role. So, an entrepreneur recognizes, evaluates, and exploits the opportunity. An organization, the entrepreneur builds and manages an organization. An entrepreneur attracts, combines the resources, and put it into a good organization. So all these things are interlinked. Okay, so there is a focus that is there between an opportunity and the organization. There is a focus between the resources and the organization through configuration. There is a focus that is there between the opportunity and the resources that are there. So all of these things where entrepreneur contributes towards the opportunity, organization, and resources can build a good enterprise. So these are some of the key elements of entrepreneurship. Now we'll discuss little more on bio-entrepreneurship because we are discussing this in biological sciences. What are those biocompounds? Okay, what's the value of the life science? What's the value of human? What's the value of the biological science around us? Can these products, can these techniques help improve the existing life of humans or animals or things around us? Plan accordingly, and that becomes a form, that becomes a bio entrepreneurship. So bio entrepreneurship is the process of creating value from life science innovations. It is referred to by several names, including bioscience entrepreneurship, life science entrepreneurship, or bioscience enterprise. Finally, bio-entrepreneurs seek to exploit life science innovations for commercial purposes. So, those people having that entrepreneurship skills entering into a bio industry is a person who is referred to as bio-entrepreneur, and a process with which he is involved in coming out with a biological material is a bio-entrepreneurship form that is there. Okay, so these are the four most common background of life sciences entrepreneurship that are listed here. Who can be entrepreneurs are the scientist, physician, bioengineer who comes from an academic institution. He may be from university, a research foundation, a non-profit organization. All of these people can form one background in getting into entrepreneurship, or a scientist, physician, bioengineer who comes from within the life science industry, such as another biotechnological company who got an innovative idea and has come to have his own startup, can be a person, or a business person who has been into a business, okay, as a former executive in one of a life science pharmaceutical or a venture capital industry, who is not a scientist or a physician or a bioengineer, but has the knowledge of selling things. Such person can be a bio entrepreneur because he has a knowledge of what bioproducts are and the market of it. So he or a core group of individuals that are spun off from another life science organization within the industry can get into this entrepreneurship. So there are different group of individuals who enter into this field and who have been working into the entrepreneurship procedure. There is a process that goes with in entrepreneurial thing. First and foremost step is idea generation. Then you have developing, you have to develop a business plan, and after this, it's not advisable to put in your own money and process it. So you have to have a fundraising process. That can be a proposal that can be submitted to a government startup. Here in Karnataka, we have Karnataka ITBT department, government of Karnataka ITBT department, giving a lot of support to the startups. We have something called as Biotech Park only, okay, based in Electronic City, which is a very big park with incubation center, giving all that background support to conceptualize the idea. So once that is done, okay, you can move forward with your own funds or the loans to bring in a product out. And then we have the promoting process. Then you have to commence the production process and a process of harvesting and taking money or earning money and financially um, taking it independent. So entrepreneurship can thus contribute to ultimately national income. So, but with new and improved offerings, products, or technologies from entrepreneurs, enable new market to be developed and new wealth is created. Entrepreneurship accelerates economic growth also, and entrepreneurs are important to market economics because they can act as the wheels of the economic growth of the country. By creating new products and services, they stimulate new empowerment. As so many get employed in their industry. So you're creating an arena for employment process. So which ultimately results in the acceleration of economic development. So thus entrepreneurship can contribute to national income and accelerates economic growth also. The benefits of being a bio entrepreneur is, as I told you, you will contribute to economic growth. So the bottom line of vibrant entrepreneurship uh, is that it creates wealth both for the entrepreneur, for the people that are employed as a result, and for the local economy. You take people and grow with the industry. That's this. And obviously, you have created a job uh, for many a people. Philanthropy, innovation is there in that. Increased competition would be there. Many people would enter into the same field if one finds success in this. And use of natural resources. There will be definitely a government support and control. and you look into an unemployment protocol, and you are independent on your own in the process. So thus you have overcome that unemployability that is there. So one need not depend on others for survival. That's when the process goes. Then the funding of entrepreneurs is also a very important aspect. Okay, otherwise without that this thing, no confidence, one cannot move forward. So the ideas here are entrepreneur thing will generate the ideas, then goes with the planning. When the person is planning, initially he will be confident with the credit cards and the savings, and if possible, it's the government grant that is required. That's when I suggested there are many funding agencies whom one can approach and get funds for. And then you will definitely go with proof of concept with your colleagues, friends, and family, proving that right. And when you launch, at each and every stage, you have different way of approaching for funds. But when you are in the process of launching after proof of concept, you will find a partner. You have to get a network and see if somebody is ready to invest. Yours is the idea, okay, but you want somebody to support. So if you are watching that Shark Tank, you will get to know how many medical instruments, how many biological industries are coming out with proof of concept and ideas. They are into market, they have a supply, they come there for the aid of funding as well as support and improvement in their business. So that is launch process where you need a partner, you need a crowdfunding, you need an angel investor, you need leasing finance, venture capitalists. There are people seated who will definitely look for uh, that process, no, that eyes and ears open to see which is that good idea, which is that bright idea which needs a funding. So many industrialists will be interested in investing in this process. So then you have what is called as beachhead, where supplier credit, customer deposit, and prepayments, partners, angel investors are all required here, as in how your product is going out into the market. As and how you see growth in your industry, you have bank overdrafts. Bank will help you support with the funding with overdrafts and invoice financing, venture capitalists, merchant bank, okay, and then bridging finance and profits to be maintained. And once you are in the phase of establishment, you have profits and you have bank term loans and initial public offer that you can go with. So at each and every step of entrepreneurship, these are the steps of entrepreneurship we have discussed: idea process, planning, proof of concept, launch, beachhead, growth, and establishment. In all of these phases, you have a different role of funding agencies involved in the process. But ultimately, one success in an industry or an entrepreneurship is based on these many factors. So you need to know the involvement of all of these financial organizations at each and every stage. Advantages of getting into entrepreneurship is you are a boss of yourself. You will have a very flexible schedule. You will have autonomy. You can take your own decisions. You don't have to rely on anybody other than partners. You have to have and define the roles of what a partner should do and what is that what you have to do. So with these things in mind, you are an entrepreneur having a flexible schedule, having autonomy for yourself. This is a chance to build a career that aligns with your beliefs. You have always might have had a passion for what you would have started. So you will definitely be involved in a continued growth and development. And obviously, when you are managing and multitasking many a things, you will be the sole person who will be designing, planning, what else, marketing, financial manager, everything when you start with. So definitely you will be enhancing your managerial abilities. You will be hiring people. You will see who is the person whom you can make a part of your organization. You will, after having them in your organization, you should have a good rapport with them. How to build up a rapport with them, how to get the work done is okay, how to get the product out. At times of difficulties, they should be able to oblige with you. Lot of things are involved in a entrepreneurship process. Economic development, improving the standard of living for sure, and meeting like-minded people of the same context. So you will definitely be benefited from one to the other. So these are the advantages of entrepreneurship. And one, being engineers, having a little bit of exposure after you finish your degree, having some expertise in the field. I'm sure some of you would like to have your own firms, that is entrepreneurship. But at the same time, if you have this interest in some of the bio products, pharma products, agro products, okay, on any of this, you can always explore. So having a knowledge of all of these things, what biotechnology is all about, what biomedical field is all about, what pharma industry is all about, what agro industry is all about, and what environmental industry is all about, you know which is a small peck of idea that you have to take and explore. So it's a market study that one has to do and see what is in demand. That is the skill of an entrepreneur. So with this, I'm just giving you a gist of fields that an entrepreneur can pick in. It's mainly industrial biotechnology where one can invest in. It can be today in the field of enzymes. Just imagine the type of sensors one are developing, the type of treatment that one needs in medical field. You have lot of enzymes involved in the process. Just not in industry. I'm telling you that the enzymes are so crude, they are just proteins. They're so crude that some of these enzymes produced by bacteria, so I have to establish an industry with reactors for bacteria to grow and give me enzymes. The purity and the process of purity can take it to a level where a crude enzyme can be used in my detergent, okay, to make and to help what do you call that, take out that stain efficiently from the textile. Okay, so that is how you have a difference between surf and surf excel. Okay, you see those colored granules that are added into the powder. Okay, so if it was surf, it was just blue color. If it is surf excel today, it has colored granules in it. So the difference is that it is the detergent powder is now enhanced with crude enzyme to give good efficiency for stain removal. So that is an industry of a crude enzyme that I'm talking about. There are some enzymes that are so purified and made available in medical field that the same enzyme will remove a clot in your blood vessel also. So that is the extent of purification and a setup that one can establish. So as crude as to be used in textile industry, or a purified enzyme to be used on humans in medical field. So these are the applications. There is a range of application that goes with in industry. So one can see what the budget is, what the planning has to be, which is the one that has demand, have a tie-up, see the market, and then go ahead with this. That's one field. Other field, I have discussed a lot about agriculture. So any of those agricultural products can thus be worked out with for the protocol of either the device or the materials used in hydroponics, tissue culture technology, okay, or the conventional protocol of growing plants in soil with pesticides. So you have lot of pesticide firms, biopesticide firms in Bangalore only, who are moving towards, you know, the importance of organic these days. All of us are moving towards organics, having that knowledge of what organic is, and all of us moving towards there is a demand for biomaterials in market, bioactive compounds in market. So biopesticide, biofertilizer, all of these things are in demand. So people are moving towards establishing culturing these important organisms, blending them, and making it available to the market. One of my student is heading as a manager in one of a firm called Multiplex, Agriplex and Multiplex. They are into all of these agricultural support programs that are there. So they have built up a network where they supply all these maintenance of organic farms that are there around. Many engineers have started and have entered into cultivation, have entered into hydroponics, have entered into urban gardening, terrace gardening, right? These are the terms that are there in agriculture. Relate any one of this, you have a market. So you can think of the plastic bags being used, the degradable ones that are used as potting material, or it can be any of those materials that are used in agricultural produce. So one can plan to have that also as an industry. Then you have what is called biorefining. Biorefinery is again a lot of things involved in the process. Um, the fermentation protocols for a produce using microorganisms, using plants. People have been working. So an alternative fuel is the biofuel that one can think of, renewable chemicals to be used, polymers to be used in medical field, different polymers for different industrial need. One can be just into those things. One can be into a process of making things that are feasible to be used in medical industry. There are so many flavors and fragrances that are there from natural produce that people are into. So not synthetic, all biological. That's how jasmine these days is used for the essence that it has, the flavor that it has. So a lot of food products and other things are exploited for extraction of those oils, essential oils, and that has a good market today. So this is just a gist of some of the industries that are booming today in under the aegis of bio entrepreneurship. I just want to end up the talk telling you or exposing you to some of these important successful entrepreneurship firms that are there in India and abroad. I've shown you this in the last session also, but these are the success stories that are there. You can just Google and get to know the story behind establishment of Biocon. You have to remember as a biologist the success story of Kiran Majumdar Shah. So that is remarkable. And if biotechnology has its name, if biotechnology entrepreneurship, bio entrepreneurship has its name, it's because of the efforts of some of these eminent people who have contributed into the biotechnology field. You know the importance of Bharat Serums and Vaccines Limited contributing in this COVID vaccine. A lot of pharma products being supplied by Dr. Reddy's, Nicholas, Wokhart, okay, Panacea, Biotech. Get into each one of their website and see what all they have built. Okay, some are very new, not more than 5 to 10 years, and some are there from a long time. See their success stories, get to know the success story of how they started in small sheds with one or two instruments and how they have grown. They've just not grown for themselves, they have grown with people, hosting so many people in their organization with jobs, hosting so many employees, paying them well, hosting some of the students to do their projects in their firm, and a protocol of building, and some of the organizations are associated with them for consultancy, and lot of things have gone in. Similarly, in the place of plant biotechnology, there is something called Shanta Biotech that is there in Chennai, which is done wonders with this tissue culture technology. If you Google, you will get to know a lot of firms these days involved in hydroponics. All of these firms are in market, and they are associated with all of these distributing agents like Amazon, Flipkart, and all of these. And you have the platform where they are there available for you to send the materials that are required in a process of entrepreneurship. So these are some of the entrepreneurship firms that have shown success. Internationally also, as I told you, these are some firms that are there. Take it instrumentation engineering completely into all biological instruments that are there. We have a lot of materials supplied by Biorad in our lab, starting from an electrophoresis to a power pack to many systems supporting an UV transilluminator. For whatever we use for our biological systems, we are dependent on Biorad for their electrical devices. Okay, and some of these firms like Millipore, Sartorius, I told you, LabVantage, Roche, okay, Monsanto. I was telling you about Monsanto involved in lot of genetically modified plants. Not only that, for biopesticides and pest resistant, herbicide resistant plants, they are into there. And if you have to get into the pharma industry, looking for all sort of clinical research aspects, because once the product is out, it's just not the product that can be released comfortably. It has to go through a testing process, and a genuinity has to be shown with all the evidences. That is this industry who is doing all software processes. So a computer engineer can get associated with data management and process in clinical research, helping today analyze the data that has come from COVID patients and the places that are associated with. So that is one organization called Quintiles. So that these are some agilent technologies with instrumentation. So Aventis, lot of these, they are just few names. You just Google, get to know if you have interest in it. This is the right time. You are budding engineers who need to get into this field, look into, and slowly as and how you move into the subject and the subject depth, you will understand the need of these things, and you cannot be masters in all of it for sure. So whichever field of interest you may find in future, if not all of you, some of you, I'm sure, will get into these aspects and may be successful entrepreneurs also in future. So that's the exposure that we wanted to give you through this unit, for you to understand the careers that you can build in association with biological sciences. So these are the fields where you engineers, young engineers, can contribute to society in either instrumentation or in the process of treatment or therapy. So you're definitely doing some noble cause, being associated with these bio industries. So we have discussed a lot on the career opportunities, the opportunities that you have to get associated with biological sciences. This is the exposure that we have given you, that you can be, you need not work all the time with an industry. You can gain the experience, you can be associated with the industry of your interest. You have such a good choice now. And once you have that interest and once you have gained that experience, you can move forward to building an entrepreneurship. And I have discussed in detail on the protocols that one has to follow and the steps one has to follow in bio entrepreneurship. So that's the information that I wanted to share with you in the today's lecture. Thank you. All the best.